Drama. Sports Talk Radio loves drama, and I know there are people out there going, oh, you guys in the media stirring it up. Well, let's put it in perspective here, because Brandon Graham, he opened the door, a Pandora's sports box of sorts, where all this stuff is now flying out, and so therefore we need to discuss it. Not that it amounts to a destructive Eagle season. And I don't think it will. The Eagles are still a pretty good team, no matter what happens in this drama between A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts, the quarterback, and Brandon Graham, who's out for the season and decided to throw it out there. So let's just go chapter and verse on what happened. By the way, this is the Mike Missanelli Show. Bill's here, Ray's here. Thanks for everybody else for being here. Here is the dangerous quote that everybody's focused on, but we'll go over the whole thing on what Brandon Graham actually said when asked about this little passing problem that A.J. alluded to after the game against the Carolina Panthers. I know 1 is trying, and 11 could be better with how he responds to things. They were friends, but things have changed. Now, that's not the media trying to cause trouble. That's a declarative statement that there may be some trouble in paradise between the quarterback, who at one time had the A.J.I., where every pass was going to A.J., to right now where he seems reluctant to stay in a pattern and rely on this receiver getting open for big plays. But let's move on to further quotes by Brandon Graham. The person that's complaining needs to be accountable. And I'm just being honest, and he, meaning A.J. Brown, knows this. Well, jeez. I mean, I talked about this yesterday, and people were going, lay off A.J. He's not a diva, blah, blah, blah. Brandon Graham goes, well, he's not being accountable. Brandon goes on to say, I don't know the whole story, but I know that Jalen Hurts is trying, and that A.J. Brown could be a little better with how he responds to things. They were friends before this. It's like, man, but things have changed. And I understand that because life happens. It's the business side that we have to make sure the personal don't get in the way of the business. That's what we got to do better right now. We know it's an issue. Everybody's saying some things, but we need to be able to talk things out as men. We need to let personal stuff go. And let's get right for this game. But he goes on, and he says, it's difficult. Because, if you don't hold yourself accountable, there's nothing I can do anyway. We have to be accountable for our actions and what we do. Some people are going to stand on it and double down on it. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But when we got stuff in-house and we're winning, it's just not a good look for the person complaining. Woo! Well, he is putting the target on A.J. Brown for complaining, and he's saying they're not close as they used to be, and because they're not close, the synchronicity is actually not there between Hurts and A.J. Brown, and that would be detrimental to a team that's already having passing problems. It doesn't portend to right now. It portends to the future. The future is you're on a mission to win a Super Bowl. So what will this do? Will it derail this movement towards the Super Bowl? Will people come out and say, you media people are stirring up something that's not there, which I expect to get 75% today on the phones and in the text. So let's go to the people who join me on this program. Bill Colorado, Ray Dunn. Bill, your thoughts.
All right, first of all, let's start with Brandon Graham. Love Brandon Graham. He's going to be a legend, one of the best Philadelphia Eagles in franchise history. But he's been here for 15 years. And what he did last night was he took gasoline and he threw it on the fire, and look what's happened now. But you're talking about A.J. Brown, and people are saying A.J. Brown is the diva. I want to go back in time a little bit because I'm not so sure that the problem is A.J. Brown. December of 2023, Jeff McClain reports that inside the Eagles organization, they're questioning Jalen Hurts' leadership style. January of 2024, Joe Santoliquito from Bleeding Green Nation writes an article about how multiple sources have said Jalen Hurts has changed since he signed the big contract. End of the season last year, Jalen Hurts is asked about his relationship with Nick Sirianni. He gives a weird, cryptic answer. I didn't know he was going anywhere. June of 2024, mandatory minicamp. Jalen Hurts is given a softball question about Nick Sirianni. He refuses to answer it positively. What happens? We're left deciding all summer what's going on between Jalen and the head coach. Then August of 2024, Jeff McClain and Jeremy Fowler of ESPN write an article, and it says, multiple sources believe Jalen Hurts has tuned out Nick Sirianni, and Hurts as a leader will need to improve on a habit of shutting people out when frustrated. A habit of shutting people out. And now we're hearing there's personal problems between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. So what is the common denominator here? Everyone wants to talk about A.J. being a diva. Everybody wanted to talk about Nick Sirianni was the issue. The common denominator has been Jalen Hurts.
Oh! You're throwing shade at the QB now.
I'm looking at the evidence here.
Brandon Graham's not throwing shade at the QB. Brandon Graham's saying, yo, you can't act like a diva. The quarterback is the quintessential player in this league and on this team. If you got frustration, you go to the man. You don't complain, and you don't slam a helmet, and you don't make a cryptic comment after the game, because if you don't do all that, there isn't any problem, is there? There might be a problem in the locker room, but now it's out in the open.
Shouldn't have been out in the open. A.J. Brown's comment after the game, I know that we could look into what he meant by it, but when he says, what is the biggest issue with the offense, and he says passing, there's a lot of people who are a part of the passing offense. A.J., Devontae, they're all a part of that passing offense as well. So,
come on, man, you know what he means.
Of course. But you also have to look at Jalen Hurts hasn't been very good at throwing the football in the last few weeks. So we could say that it's just A.J. being a diva, but now Brandon Graham has opened up the door to say there are personal issues between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. And now personal issues between Jalen and A.J., personal issues between Jalen and the head coach. Maybe the problem is Jalen Hurts, and this is coming from a guy who likes Jalen Hurts.
Let's take it one at a time, because you're expanding this into something that may be expanded into a little bit later. But let's take the problem du jour. And the problem du jour is that Brandon Graham, a team leader, is diming out A.J. Brown for being a diva. That's the bottom line. That's what he's saying. What else could he possibly be saying? He's got the quarterback's back more than he's got A.J. Brown's back.
Well, Brandon Graham basically says that A.J. shouldn't have gone to the media, but then Brandon Graham is going to the media to say what his issues are. The whole thing is ironic.
Yeah, it is hypocritical in a lot of ways. However, Brandon Graham is putting that bullseye right on the wide receiver for acting up at all. That's what he's doing. So whether it's Jalen Hurts' problem or not, he's this team leader named Brandon Graham, who now is trying to backtrack from it. I have news for you, BG. Toothpaste out of the tube. He says he wants to start off by apologizing to my guys. Now, most fans will look at that and say, see that? He apologized. You guys are blowing it up. I'm sorry to hurt your feelings, folks. This is an issue. Okay, this is an issue that we, in our job, feel obligated to talk about. We're not going to turn into fanboys and say, well, we're just making a mountain out of a molehill. We're not making a mountain out of a molehill. They made the freaking molehill.
They did make the molehill, and that's why I'm just so shocked that Brandon Graham, a guy who's been here for as long as he has, who understands this city and really any sports city, you come out and you make comments like this, that there are personal issues between the quarterback and your star wide receiver. What did Brandon Graham expect to happen? Of course that was going to blow up. Of course people now are going to be asking questions as to what's going on between Jalen and A.J. And last year, there were rumblings that there were problems between Jalen and A.J., but nothing was ever said publicly. And now Brandon Graham, we got an 11-2 football team, 9 straight wins, and he decides to take a little bit of smoke and blow it up. I'm so frustrated with BG. And look, we love him. He's got the biggest play in franchise history with the strip sack on Tom Brady. He's been here forever. His smile's infectious. You messed up big time, BG.
We will talk about this whole issue and where it might lead. It might lead to nowhere, be honest with you. But this is an issue. Come on, folks. Don't be blaming the media for blowing something up. The guy put a bullseye on the wide receiver for kind of acting like a diva, and I was criticized for saying, get the diva the ball and you won't have these problems. That's what's fixable. Get him the frickin' football. 610-632-0975 is how you climb in to the Mike Missanelli Show on the call or the text. We're back after this.
Tyrone Johnson.